Hey everyone, Greg Meskel here. Thanks for joining us on The Counterattack. Why was I drinking a small, refreshing yogurt beverage? It's because they were representing water polo. Dan and Danimals had a water polo ball and a cap. We don't see that very often on beverages, so we had to give them a shout out. If any other beverages want to put water polo on the side, send it in. We'll probably put it on the show. Let's get to the water polo action from this past weekend. Big college water polo going on in Northern California at Stanford University. It was the annual NorCal Invitational. The top four came in, seated in the top four. I'm talking about UCLA, USC, Cal, Stanford, and they came out as the top four teams in the country with a bit of shuffling. It was UCLA winning their third straight NorCal title. They defeated Stanford 8-7 in the final. In third place, it was USC over Cal 12-9. In those semis, these always produce great games. Stanford edging USC 6-5. UCLA over Cal 8-6. Remember, these are non-conference games, but still pivotal as they look towards the postseason and building those resumes for the playoffs. Let's go to some club highlights. This is college water polo via the Vols Polo account. That's Tennessee water polo. First, a 6-on-5 goal from Emory as they took on Georgia Tech. That's nicely done. And then Georgia Tech and Clemson. Check out this one. Player puts the ball to himself, past the keeper, and puts it away. That's not the way they normally draw it up, but it works there. Nice goal by those folks, and well done on the Vols Polo, sharing some video. Now we go back east. Brown and Harvard. Here's the game winner in overtime. Travis Buscarin connecting, and Brown beats Harvard 10-9 in OT. Other scores of note: Salem International and Monmouth. That wasn't a football game. 21-19. Salem wins it. Pepperdine edging UC Davis 12-11. That was at NorCal's. That was of note. That was the only lower-seeded team to win on day one. And then Long Beach State edging UC Irvine 12-11 in overtime. Speaking of Long Beach State, they're in action this Saturday. Televised college water polo. They'll visit USC. That'll be live on the Pac-12 networks, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Now we turn to high school water polo, and earlier this month we talked with Dan Albano from the OC Register, focusing on Southern California water polo. Now we're going to talk with James Smith of TotalWaterPolo.com to check in on the rest of the country. James, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for speaking with me.
Sure. James, let's get right into it. We're talking a little bit of the Midwest, kind of Northeast, and Michigan high school water polo, one of the many states around the country that's in full swing. What do you hear about them? What are your feelings as you talk about water polo in the state of Michigan?
Well, one of my favorite themes, as you know, is how the competition is heating up among the states, and so I'll get to that in a moment, because the teams from Ohio are playing Michigan more regularly, and they're playing some teams from Pennsylvania more regularly. But really, the big news from the last week is that Skyline may very well be the highest-ranked boys team after this week. They beat previously undefeated Rockford in Michigan. That was a bit of a surprise. In fact, I spoke with Coach Mike Roberts from St. Xavier, a top-ranked team from Ohio, who was up in Michigan playing those teams, and he said it was a bit of a surprise for them as well that Skyline pulled it off. But Skyline's thinking big. They've published a new article recently on their school paper or their school blog about taking state championships. So they're thinking they're going to dethrone one of the great teams from the Midwest, which is Rockford.
Now, I know you're also excited about, as you alluded to, Ohio and also some teams in Pennsylvania. Who are some of the squads that are kind of jumping out to you in those states?
Well, here's what I think is fun. So the Ohio Cup finished on the 13th, and a team from Pennsylvania came to Ohio and beat top-ranked St. Xavier. And St. Xavier in itself is a very interesting story, because it's really a team that's emerged in just the last 2 or 3 years to be competitive at the very top ranks of Ohio water polo. And now they're feeling they don't know what to do with all the kids that they have on their team. There's over 40 boys that are playing for that team, and that they're having to make A and B and C teams in order to compete. It seems like. But anyway, they're among the favorites of that Ohio Cup tournament. But Cathedral Prep from Erie, Pennsylvania, came to town and defeated everybody else, including St. Charles, another highly ranked team, and took the title. And now Cathedral Prep is an interesting team because they're located, I think you could probably throw a rock from their campus to Gannon, which of course has a varsity water polo program. So that sort of interaction is always interesting to me.
Well, it's interesting, too, to see teams, you think about like Western Pennsylvania and then areas where Erie is at as well. There's just not a ton of high school competition in that area, so they've got to travel and go find some games, and then they find the games and they end up winning the entire tournament. It's pretty impressive.
We've spoken of it before. You know, people from Orange County don't understand the sort of level that these teams have to travel to get this kind of competition. I find it endlessly exciting to see these teams getting a chance to go to other states and compete. You're 100% correct.
Excellent. Well, James, thanks for your time. We look forward to your bracket mania coming up as all of the high school seasons wind to a close. I'm sure it's one of the few sleepless times of the year for you.
I'm sure you're looking forward to it, maybe slightly more than I'm looking forward to it. But thank you for the plug, and I'll look forward to seeing tons of people checking it out at the end of the fall. Thanks, Greg.
Don't forget, follow Total Water Polo on Twitter, at Total Water Polo, of course, and visit TotalWaterPolo.com. They'll have you covered, especially come high school playoff time, with all the brackets and results you need to know. Now we turn our attention back to this past summer and more open water polo action. As you might have guessed, we can't get enough of this stuff. We go back out to Fresno, California, and the annual Shaver Lake Open. Now let's get you some important news on the Olympic Development Program. This past weekend there was a camp in Texas and it was widely attended. As you can see here from some of the tweets from those who attended, they really enjoyed their experience, got a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. You can be at one of these camps going forward in your area. Be sure to visit the ODP homepage at usawaterpolo.org. Camps are open now for boys and girls throughout the fall in zones all across the country, so get signed up. If you're a little bit younger, the first ever 2004 and under program for boys is now up and running. 2 camps will be offered, and it concludes with a festival in Southern California in December. Registration links can be found in that ODP section under the additional camps area. And last but certainly not least, one of the highlights for many athletes through the years, the annual holiday camp in Colorado Springs. The nomination process is now open. It's one of our most popular events, bar none. It's for 7th and 8th graders. The nomination link is on the holiday camp page. And don't forget, the process for nominations closes on October 15th. Now we close things out as we do every episode with our social media send-off. It's a busy one, so stick with us. Here we go. First things up, we want to give strong support to Rosie. Her sister Molly tweets about her brain tumor surgery. We hope that she is back on the road to recovery as soon as possible. We're thinking about you, Rosie, here at the Counterattack. From there, we go out to Colorado Springs, and our USA Women's National Team climbed Pikes Peak. Here are some photos via Kelly Gilchrist's Twitter account. It's over 14,000 feet in elevation. From there, you know about promposals. What about what I'm told is a HOCO, homecoming dance proposal? Check this one out from Lizzie1744. Yes, he said yes. We shared it on Instagram. Then Lizzie tweeted that she was excited about that. Gives us some emoji love right there. Tennessee Vols had to get in on the action with a nice joke. Considering there was a Marco Polo reference, we hope the dates won't stay far apart from each other, much like you try and do in the game of Marco Polo. But nice job there with jokes, Tennessee Water Polo. From there, we go back to Colorado Springs and the Team USA account as they get a chance to spend a lot of time with our women's national team. As you can see here, taking a bunch of selfies during a recent practice. They also followed around Team USA captain Maggie Steffens in their new Instagram My Focus series that'll be coming later this fall. You'll get a real behind-the-scenes look at a day in the life of Maggie Steffens training at the National Team Training Center. And then how did we find out about our Danimal friends? Through the American River Water Polo Club as they shared it on Twitter. Nice job, ARWPC. Don't forget, we want to see the best of what you're doing on social media. Yogurt drinks, other water polo related beverages, you get the idea. Use the hashtag Counterattack. tweet at us, Instagram at us, Facebook at us, at USAWP. We'll share the best of it right here on the show. That'll do it for this week. Thanks for joining us on the Counterattack. And don't forget, when you're on the weak side, drink Down and Animals. You'll score. No, I'm kidding. Just look weak side. Thanks.